And we are live. I just want to make sure that we're live. So I'm just going to go into, especially my LinkedIn, just to make sure. It's always important, when you go live or you're doing something to, make sure that you're actually live because that does, happen sometimes. So I'm glad that all of you are here. If anyone has any questions or would like to, just say even hello, go ahead and do that in the comments section. So today we're going to talk about some really cool stuff. Well, I think it's cool because I do have a webinar tomorrow and it is at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And don't mind the mess behind me, just FYI, I am moving. I actually have movers coming tomorrow. They're going to pack us up and then we're going to move. So stay tuned to where I am going to a city near you. But anyways, let's kind of get back to what we're going to talk about. So today I wanted to talk about private practice and payments. A lot of times in, private practice, some of the issues that, most doctors will talk about, or even other healthcare providers, because it's not just doctors, it's not just nurse practitioners, it's really anyone who owns, a private practice. And as you all know, I own my own private practice. I do take insurance, but the insurance that I take is actually the VA insurance. And honestly, I love the VA, but to some people, they feel as though the VA might not pay as much. But I'll tell you this, if you feel that way, then you're not billing correctly. And also, you're not seeing people in certain kind of time periods. So I'll just say that. So maybe we'll talk about VA billing sometime. But we are doing very, very well with our veterans, and I absolutely love it. I wouldn't go anywhere else. Since you all know that I have built over 50 private practices and counting, I always like to talk about the real things, the real stuff about private practice that either A, bothers people or things that, people just might not understand. So let's kind of go through some of that information. And you know what? I'm also going to put um, it so that maybe you can even see some of the comments in the sections. So if anyone is watching or whatever, go ahead and put hello in the comments. And here we go. So let's kind of talk about, private practice. Again, I have a webinar. If you would like to attend, go to yougrowhealthcare.com and it's tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be great. We're going to talk about some really fundamental things that, what it takes to really build a private practice and one that is successful, right? We can all build something, but is it sustainable? Is it something that's actually going to be there and be there for the long haul, right? So let's go into a couple things and I'll name them off what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about copays. We're going to talk about insurance. We're going to talk about cash payments. We're going to talk about collections. And we are going to talk about something that a lot of you might not even know about, but it's something called surprise billing. This has been a hot topic. I even posted about it. And a lot of people have, like different opinions. And of course, I'm going to state my opinion and then we'll kind of go along and we'll talk about kind of the things that I've seen. But whoever wants to, kind of interact with me, I am completely live. Go ahead and put your comments in the chat and I will go ahead and, answer all of those as we go. All right. So copays. Obviously, we all know that that has something to do, with insurance. We totally understand that. And the one thing that I always continue to tell people is that a copay is very easy to figure out. Okay. And I'll give you an example. Some of the ones that do it very well are some of the like OBGYNs, people that actually have kind of surgical procedures that are also with their practice. So I'll give you an example. It's a real world example. It's actually my example. When I was pregnant in 2016 with my son, I had a deductible that I had to make, and I also had a copay. And what they basically did was they ran my insurance, right? It was, first of all, they were very patient. Let's kind of back up too. With copays, with insurance, with all of that stuff, you have to be patient. And let me explain. You have to take the time to check. Okay. If someone is coming to your office, you should check every time to make sure that they're eligible. There's so many things that could happen from the time that somebody calls and the time that somebody enters into your private practice. So let me explain. I could literally have had a job on Monday and I'm supposed to see you on Wednesday, got fired on Tuesday. And my insurance could have already been deactivated, which means that even though you might have checked it on that Monday and it was active, it's now not active. So, what does that mean, right? What does that mean? That means that you're not going to be paid for those services, and those are going to be services that are out of pocket. Now, how does that kind of coincide with co-payments? And also we'll kind of talk about deductibles as well. Why does that matter? Insurance eligibility matters. It matters because it matters all the things that are actually happening at the time of service. I don't care when somebody called, it's when they come into that door. So, what I do, and even though I work with our nation's veterans, and I'm so proud to do so, I do check and make sure that they're eligible every time. I check it every time they're supposed to go into the office. And that is also what my staff has also been instructed to do. That is super, super important. Why? Because I don't want to give free services. I do want the nurse practitioner who works with me to be able to get paid from the practice and not outside of my pocket. I do want the LCSW to get paid, not maybe from my pocket, but from the actual practice. Okay. So check the eligibility. Not only check and make sure that the insurance is active, but I want you to know, what do they owe? Did they meet their deductible? Do they have a percentage that needs to be paid every time they come? Is there a copay? The reason why this is important is because
Pro Max disconnected. Ready to
um
pair.
sorry, is because you have to make sure that if someone does not have the insurance, that you don't see them, because then you're seeing them for free. And I see this a lot of times. Private practices never, not a lot of times that I have seen, they're not very good at collecting the money up front. So I'm going to tell you now. What you do is, unfortunately, you have to put your foot down, because I'm going to be honest with you completely. And I actually shout out to one of the doctors. I'm not going to shout her out, but she's going to know who she is. If you treat your private practice like a business, you will be okay. And I will explain. If that person does not have their copay and they don't have their deductible, or you don't have a plan for payment, then they can't be seen, right? Because you cannot blame the patient for that when you saw them when it possibly was for free, right? Collecting money at the end, or collecting money, it doesn't work like that, everyone. So let's even think of retail. I know nobody wants to say, healthcare is like retail. I'm totally not saying that. We know that, our doctors, our nurse practitioners, our LCSWs, all of you are serving our people, right? You are the staple in our community. And trust me, I want you to be in there, because I'm tired of going to the big ones and they don't even know who I am, like at this point, right? So you have to collect it before session. And let's go, Dr. Crystal. Okay? I am glad you are on this live with me. You have to. There's nothing wrong with that. You are giving someone a service. That's okay. It's all right. We're not going to get biblical here, but this isn't, what would Jesus do, right? This is this is healthcare. This is a business. You have a family, you have, different things that you have to provide for, maybe an electronic health record, you've got to pay other people. That is the way it is. And I promise you, if you put your foot down, everybody's not going to be telling their friend that you don't care about a copay so that they can go and get free service. Because I am going to tell you this, okay? Everyone knows that practice that doesn't check the eligibility. I don't know if our providers know that. I think in the behavioral health field, Honestly, I think that we kind of understand that because we do have little different nuances. But I'm going to tell, definitely my general practitioners, they're telling their friends. They're telling their friends, yes, so and so didn't check. I know that my deductible is $10,000, but I saw them anyway, right? And got my meds. So I'm letting you know they're aware, right? So, but you are the person, right, or the leader that is supposed to know that. So having a private practice with actual rules is okay. It protects you. And that's what all businesses have. And that is okay. And I think that's some of maybe even the stigma that because we want to help people, we should almost like help them for free and everything should be free. That's honestly not true. There's no transaction in life that is free. There really isn't, if you think about it. Even if it's not monetary, you are getting something. Everybody's receiving. It's exchange, right? So for healthcare, it's the same way. So I want to make sure that people understand just because you are taking money for something, it is in exchange for your services. And also, everyone, think about all of the student loans that you have. I mean, if you do well taking things up front, you'll be able to pay your staff. You'll be able to pay down your student loans or whatever you would like to do in life and feel whole. Because I do feel as though some of our providers are upset about it. And I get it. But I am going to tell you it's your fault because you didn't put your foot down. This isn't the emergency room. Okay? If you're in a private practice, you're not an emergency room. You don't have to and mandated to take absolutely everybody. Yes, of course, if somebody was like dying out front, yes, okay. Like let's not go into like outliers, but this isn't, the hospital, right? They didn't airlift somebody to you and say you have to take them. That's not what happened. You allowed them to come into your doors and not take it. And so I want you to, stand up for yourself because we need you in society. We need the private practice. I want people to know where they're going and who everyone is. So let's go into like the insurance thing, right? Because I know a lot of people don't really like insurance. I totally get it. There's so many different nuances, but I'm going to tell you this. If you have a good staff and if you have a good revenue cycle management team, it shouldn't be that serious. Because if it is, then you have the wrong team. Okay? And I'll tell you why. I don't worry about any of that stuff because I have an impeccable staff. And you know why? Because I teach my staff to understand money. And I think that's one thing that we're missing, right? So when we hire certain people, like maybe some billers or whoever it may be, you have to sit people down and tell them, hey, if you don't collect this copay up front, guess what? I might not be able to pay you, right? Or we might not be able to get these new fancy gel pens, right? Because everything that comes in there, right, is for you, right, to work and to serve the community. It's totally, I mean, it's okay. It's okay. And yes, I understand insurance is but see, you have to look at insurance a little differently, right? So insurance is like a little like kind of like tunnel, right? So you do know what's going to happen if you don't document everyone. You're not just not getting paid. Like I really need people to like back it up and be like insurance isn't paying me. That's honest, it's not true. Something's wrong. Yes, is there some times where, we'll talk about Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They have rules. It's that we're not getting paid because you didn't follow the rule of how to bill. Because I'm going to tell you right now, we don't really have rejections. And I'm going to tell you, billing for the VA is pretty tough. They don't play. Okay? So I'm going to tell you right now, if something denies in my practice, I want to know why. And then I want to make sure that we are rebilling as soon as possible. Stop, everybody. I want you to also stop this. Stop billing once a week. Because if you miss something, it could be like 30 days from now, and you could get into that timely filing. And honestly, that's what the insurance company wants. They want their people to go for free. So you got to make sure that you're on point. And I'm not saying you as the provider. I'm saying you as the provider, as the leader of the private practice. I want you to instill in your staff what is important. And what is important is that you're providing jobs. You're providing, I hope, a stable environment, which is awesome, right? And somewhere where they want to be. But they can't do that if they don't do their job. Okay? So literally put your foot down. It's okay. And people are not like, oh, I don't want to work with these people. No, you know why? Because it's clear. See, people leave jobs because things are not clear. Okay, so let's be clear also in healthcare because you guys are doing a good job. It's not about, oh, somebody didn't heal someone. That's not the issue. The issue is we want you to be better business owners because we also want you to hold people accountable who are actually taking some of these actions that are running your practice. You're doing a good job. That's not it. I just want you to see it. Oh, thank you, Dr. Crystal. I want you to see it. And the reason why, I'm sure a lot of you are like, gosh, why is she so passionate about it? I'm passionate about this because when my son was born, he was health compromised. And if my providers were worried about money, they wouldn't have been worried about him and they wouldn't have been able um, to heal him. I need you to heal, but I also need you to either get help to run it right or to run it because all of you that are providers, you are able to heal the body, whether it's the mind, whether it's physically, that is talent. So I know you can run this practice. I know you can do it, but you got to get the tools. So if you don't know the tools, go to yougrowhealthcare.com. And this is why, and this is who you see today. You see somebody whose child was healed by doctors, physicians who were just so amazing. Okay. But they weren't worried about money. What I'm seeing right now is a lot of people are worried about revenue because if you're worried about revenue, guess what? You're also having probably issues in your marriage and or everything else, right? I mean, everybody's still human, right? If you don't have money coming in, I mean, how are you healing everybody? You're thinking about that every time a person comes in. Ooh, they got Blue Cross PPO. I know I'm going to get this. You shouldn't have to think about that if you're running it like a business. So run it like a boss that you are because you have a talent. And I know that all of you do. So let's also talk about like cash practices, right? So cash is like the new thing. Cash is fine as long as people have cash. So I'm just going to be honest, okay? Now, remember, to me, in my experience, cash goes with how the economics goes, okay, in the world, right? So if we're in a recession, a lot of people are going to hold their cash really, really tight, right? So running a whole cash practice might be difficult in some areas. So you just have to, that's kind of like a risk that you're taking. But also the same thing with the cash kind of stuff, put your foot down. If you want it all up front, then you want it all up front. People will save to get what they want. And that's for even plastic surgeons. I'm going to tell you right now, like all of you guys know, that if people are going for plastic surgery or they're going to get their nails and their hair done, they're paying them out of pocket. And I'm going to tell you that my hair was way more than my doctor's visit. Okay. So I'm going to let you know that they do have it. But sometimes with cash, it's a little bit difficult because of the economic, things that are happening, especially right now. Um, gas being $4 and higher and $6 in California, they're going to hold it really tight. So if that's what you're doing and you're struggling, you might have to seek some more alternatives or find kind of like a direct primary care or something like that, right? To help people through that. And also, if you're running a cash practice, I'll tell you a little secret. It also might be helpful if you do a little bit more, maybe telehealth. Of course, if you're a chiropractor, I'm not talking about the outliers here. You have to lay hands on people. I totally understand that. But if you can find a way, maybe for, little things like maybe like strep throat or them at least assisting you to see, whatever's going on, please try to do some more telehealth services because, I mean, I know I sound redundant, but the gas prices are high. Okay. And not everybody has it right now. So try to just work with your patients a little bit. But they do hold cash very close. So cash is king, right? When all the economics are great, but cash is not when, things are going on. Collections. I don't like collections. I don't think anybody really does, right? But what I will tell you, if you don't collect at least over 60, 70%, you're going to have a problem. And I tell you this because people will hop from provider to provider to provider to get what they need. Okay? But if you get it up front, you're going to be a lot better off. Okay? You just ask for it. And then say, hey, guess what? Right now, you have not paid this amount that you feel safe for your business, and tell them I will schedule when you are complete, right? I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I had a huge deductible. I was working for a company, and I mean, the insurance wasn't very good. And I remember, I will always forget, never remember. It was $343.19 that I had to pay every month for 6 months. And it was for, like, obviously pregnancy. But what I will say is they did not play with me. They were like, if you don't have it, like, you can go somewhere else. It was just like that. So again, put your foot down. You don't want to be in collections. Healthcare cannot be in collections. A lot of people do not pay their collections. Um, collections. Yes, sending outstanding ban. Yes. So, Dr. Crystal, you asked me, what do you mean by collections? So, sending outstanding balances, or um, you said with the organization, still send out the balances. I'm not saying don't do that, but try to make sure that you've at least gotten at least like 80 to 70% of that money, so that you have something to budget with. You have to think of, okay, if I only got this, are my doors still going to be open? That's how you have to look at it, right? Can my door still stay open if I only got 70 to 80% of that? If not, then you go up higher. But you got to look at your budget, and you have to think of like a profit and loss, right? So the collection sometimes is going to be a loss. But how can we make sure that you get all of it up front? And Dr. Crystal, if that doesn't work for you, of course you know that you can always message me, on the back end, and I'll definitely like explain more and get on the phone. I'm also that person. I will get on the phone. Oh, oh yeah. Oh, well, Dr. Crystal is on it today. Yeah, send them to collections. I send people to collections. Yes. So I do own a billing company and also a credentialing company, and we work with a collection agency. Now, I will tell you this: there's two different types of collections agencies. We all know the ones that are terrible, that call you and like try to do all this craziness. We're not talking about those. But there's different agencies for behavioral health collections, and also like general collections. I don't know if everybody knows that, but we do work with one collection agency that's a family owned agency, and I'll get their name because I'm not thinking of it right now, but they work with behavioral health, especially to make sure that they're not putting so much pressure that it's not appropriate, right, for their service. We all know that behavioral health, there could be suicidal ideation, there could be all kinds of different things. They're kind of able to gauge that and then kind of go back and forth with the office and work together. So I can also give you that. But yeah, I will send people to collections because it's still a bill. And so you also have to remember that at the end, of course, the year, for taxes, like you have to show that that's a loss. And especially everyone, because if this is like insurance, you have to show that you try to collect on that. That's the law. So you got to keep trying to collect on that, and then go ahead and do that. Oh, sure. No, thank you so much for the question. And then here's the bonus thing. So I talk to a lot of people about surprise billing. So I really want everyone to go into their like Google search and go to, surprise billing. And I'm even going to do it because I want to make sure that I am actually stating the correct, because you know how you do things all the time. So there's a surprise billing act. Okay. And there's some things that basically you should know. So you can also see this also on the CMS website and stuff like that. And it's very, very important that you understand. I know that a lot of people don't want to take responsibility for any type of insurance. I totally get it. I get that people are paying for their insurance. Why don't they know what it is? I understand that, but this is a business. And guess what? You have to know and you have to have the policies and procedures to be able to handle that. So, in many cases, okay, this is the definition or what does it mean? So, what does surprise billing mean? In many cases, the out of network provider could bill consumers for the difference between the charges the provider billed and the amount paid by the consumer's health plan. This is known as balance billing. An unexpected balance bill is called a surprise bill. So that means that you have to tell them that they might get a bill from you. You can't just bill people, okay? So that's something that really lies, in the policies and procedures. And when they come in and when they sign, right? You have to make sure that that is in there. If not, and they can prove or disprove that you actually did not tell them about a possible payment that needs to be made, guess what? You're not getting paid. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying anything, but I am saying that that is the law right now. Okay, that's what it is. So I know that no one wants to hear that. I totally understand that. I get it. I get the pain. But in order to protect yourself, if you're out of network, don't even play those games. If you're out of network, then take all of the money up front or as much as you can and ask your accountant, how much can I have or take to sustain my business? Because this is not a charity, right? You're not a nonprofit. Okay? So you might not be able to do that. You can't always take the L, right? It doesn't work like that. This is a business. You guys did go to school for this. You're here to help people. And yes, you do need to get paid. But there's certain things that need to be in order. So again, go to yougrowhealthcare.com. And I swear I can hear my 5-year-old coming up the stairs, and then there's also a puppy coming up the stairs with the nanny. So it is about to be World War III in here. So again, go ahead if you guys want to come to the masterclass tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern. There will be no replays. I will be doing these ever so often, but I'm going to be talking about how to change your mindset from a healthcare provider to an entrepreneur, because you can do it. You already heal people. You're already good at what you do. It's just one other thing. All right. So I'm going to let all of you go, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Go to yougrowhealthcare.com and have a good night.